All right, we are live. Hey, everybody, welcome to MasterClass episode 12. This one is about elevating your partner journey. And let me bring Diane out of the green room where she's having some chips and M&Ms there. Hey, welcome.
Hey,
So, better turn off our mood music there. So, just want to give you a quick introduction to Diane Krakora, who's my guest today on today's episode. She is the founder of PartnerPath, which is a channel consulting company established in 1998, just 1 year after Impartner originally. And her mission is to enhance the role of partnerships within organizations by advocating for a channel chief officer in every company. That's really important. And over the past 2 decades, PartnerPath has worked with over 300 clients, offering expertise in partner programs, models, and best practices. And they are dedicated to staying at the forefront of channel trends and industry developments, an ever-changing landscape for sure. And also has a focus on improving partner experiences and engagement in that rapidly changing technological landscape, which is what brings us here today. You've done a lot of research. You've created this report. I love all the data that you've collected, and so excited to go over that in this masterclass today. So welcome, Diane.
thanks for having me, Trevor. We're excited to give you guys a sneak peek on some of the data that we haven't released yet. So, cutting edge.
Sneak peek. I love those. So yeah, exclusive access. We're going to share a little bit, like I said, about that research report and on some trends around enhancing the partner experience through the partner journey. And this was such a hot topic in the research that you did last year that you focused your entire 2023 research on this exclusively. Is that right?
That is right. And the journey, both the experience and the journey. So we did this big mashup this year.
Very cool. So yeah, we'll take questions as we go along. We do have that dedicated Q&A section at the end, but please stay active in the comments if you're watching this live. And as a question comes up, go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll address it right away. So Diane, can you tell us a little bit more about PartnerPath and this research to kick us off?
Absolutely happy to. For those of you who are new to PartnerPath, we help companies elevate the impact of partnering along any stages of the maturity, from being a partnering novice to a channel-centric company. To us, that means 2 things: that partnering has to have an impact, increasing sales leverage, reaching new markets, increasing customer success. And that impact needs to be recognized both internally and externally, because if you're driving increased sales leverage and no one knows it, you're still not going to get any budget. So we have these kind of 2 angles to that. So impact and then awareness. And our services, we won't go into it, fall into the 3 primary buckets that we call measure, think, and do. And for today's research, specific about this research is in our measure kind of world. But we, in December, so we gathered 150 solution provider responses and 100 vendors. So you'll see as we go through this, there are blue answers, which came from the solution providers, and orange answers, or an orange color or type, and those came from the vendors. So we both have this mashup around partner experience through the journey mashup, and we have data both from the solution providers and the vendors. So you'll see that most of the solution provider businesses were small. Most of them are as organizations. And most of our data came from North America. However, we did have a solid showing from EMEA, thanks to Amy Roberts, my partner in crime on that side. And most of the people had global roles as well.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not too surprising, I would say, that a lot of smaller companies, that is, what I hear is on average, at least on the solution provider or the partner side, average of 8 employees. There's a lot of smaller ones out there. So yeah, that would make sense from that data perspective. All right. So this partner journey, when we were doing this prep and I was going through the slides, it caught my eye that this partner journey path you have here, the graphic looks a lot more like a customer journey and not like the partner journeys that we usually see, like the one you have on the Impartner website that has the onboarding, enablement, things like that. So why is that?
Yes, very good eyes. We did mimic the partner journey to a customer journey, and we put the partner journey in the partner's perspective. It is their journey after all, versus the vendor's perspective. So we wanted to look at this in terms of how do they talk about awareness about new vendors, considering new vendors, the decision to carry a new vendor, how do they get activated? And then today we're really going to talk about how do we engage? How do the partners engage with the vendors? And then when they decide to growth or not. And there's a little off ramp that goes kind of back into activation and a do loop over there.
Got it. All right. So I like that you say that the partner experience through the journey, because, and a partner, we felt strongly about making our PRM focused on that partner experience and less about the vendor. Traditionally, that's kind of how the approach was. It's the vendor that's purchasing the software and whatnot. And as part of that, we released years ago this partner journey orchestration. So I'd like to hear your thoughts about why, from your perspective, building the partner experience through the journey is important.
Right. And we did a partner experience report a couple of years ago, and we did a journey report a couple of years ago. So that's why this year we're so excited about the mashup. And partner experience is like customer experience. It is every action and interaction that the partner has with your business as a vendor, from your people to your programs and your systems. And we really believe that an excellent partner experience is critical to a robust partner ecosystem. Partner experience and how their experience with you guys drives engagement. And engagement drives sales or customer success, or the reason we're all here anyway. So we really feel that the better the partner experience is, the more they're likely to engage with you. And the more they engage with you, download your materials, work with your sales teams, the more they're likely to sell.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. So speaking of that, this is an interesting graphic about the partner experience, and maybe a bit shocking that 70% number, if you want to explore that a little more.
Yes, nearly 70% of the vendor respondents from the study, it's in orange, so it's a vendor response, do not measure partner experience and don't even know what the partner experience is with their company. Even when they think they know, they don't collect it systematically. It's more like anecdotal information or conversations with partner contacts. So, however, a little piece that's not on this slide, 20% of innovative companies of the respondents have evaluated and undertaken at least one partner experience initiative. So people are starting to say, oh, we need to enhance our experience, and are doing things that start to create a better experience. 3% of the vendor respondents have a partner experience score, which is awesome. Only 3%, but we really think that that's insightful, where they have a set of metrics that they can repeatedly measure to know if their initiatives are being successful in increasing that partner experience.
What does that look like? Like, do they come up with their own metrics that's important to them, or do you have any insight into what a partner experience score entails?
Yeah, and it's usually several elements, right? It is how easy are you to do business with? Can a partner find materials on your partner portal or PRM? What are the metrics that you use to, are they engaging with the field sales team? What's the regularity of that? Can they place an order if you do transactions? So there's usually several elements that go through your people, your processes, the automation tools, the enablement capabilities in terms of training. So there's usually somewhere between 6 and about 15, which seems a lot. 15 is a lot of different elements that are measured to be able to get a total experience score.
Okay. Oh, interesting. All right. So for this next slide, yeah, a little self-serving. I love automation. We do a little bit of that around here.
So I heard.
Yeah, a little self-serving plug there. Yeah. So how does automation in your mind, or according to your research and whatnot, how does that play into the partner experience in those engagement and growth stages?
Yes, and then we looked at the top three and the bottom three on this slide. There are many more when you guys actually read the report that are in there as well. Overall, I do need to say that the people most greatly affected the partner experience at every stage of the journey, right? We talked about those 6 stages of the journey. So people, humans, most greatly affected the partner's experience. But we asked them at each stage in the journey what elements of experience most affected them. And as we went into the engagement, right, because we're talking about engagement and growth stages today, as we went into engagement, the vendor automation tools really were able to more greatly affect their experience with you as a vendor, even though people were still number one. So automation started to shine in that stage of engagement. And the vast majority of the vendors, again, it's in orange, have already invested in partner-facing automation systems. 80% have a partner portal. Why that's not 100% is beyond me, but I'm not I'm not selling systems here. 70% have automated the deal registration process and collecting that visible proof. We also like to look at the bottom. Only 6% of partners have automated involvement in customer success. That little bar down there is 6%. You can bet that the vendors listening to this have automated their own processes around customer success, but have not automated yet the partner's involvement in customer success, which is a little surprising to us.
Interesting. Yeah. Would not have anticipated that. Okay. So let's see. Next one is the compensating of partners. So how does the partner compensation affect the partner's experience in those engagement and growth stages?
Yeah, so automation is awesome, but it can only take you so far down the engagement path.
Right.
Successful partnerships really need people interfacing, people working together, collaborating, all towards the end of selling stuff. So as we see, again, we're highlighting some data here. I love data. 70% of vendor respondents provide an average discount between 20 and 40%. That's not on the slide, so don't go looking for it. However, discount from list price is the number one way that they compensate partners, which is a little surprising considering so many of us have moved to subscription models. So when we start looking at kind of things that are more aligned with a subscription model, 71% had some version of referral. So all those kind of commissions, the ones in the light orange below, are all kind of, they add up to about 71% of some version of some sort of commissions for partners. Most offer a reward only for the first year of the sales price, which is also, when we just talked about customer success, we really think at PartnerPath that we're focused. There's 2 things that matter in a subscription sale: 1, who influenced the deal, and 2, who made the customer successful with the technology, right? So to be able to really be able to have those customers using the solution. So we focus a lot on how our partners helping customer use the solution so that they stick around. So that's why we always kind of talk about things like ongoing commission payments for partners throughout their life cycle.
Yeah, I'm interested with that. We do not directly compensate partners. How does that work? That'd be great. Very low cost model. Sounds awesome.
Very, very low cost models. Well, I think it's also very interesting that a lot do not compensate that some don't compensate partners directly, but they expect the partners to get their compensation primarily from the customers, right? So instead of, but we really also often see that we really need to do some MDF or something there to help the partners get some motivated. So
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move over to the growth stage of the partner journey, and how is it that partners decide who to grow with?
Yes. They right. A lot of the partners hang on, and they're not necessarily reinvesting. So this question is really around how do we continue to grow, not just hang on as a partner for a vendor, but really want to make be one of those top partners. So what the data showed is that the partner's experience, I know this is an orange, so this is still a vendor discussion, but when we talked about the partner's experience in the growth stage, it was really shaped by the performance metrics that the vendors used. So I talked that people is always number one, and that when we went into the engagement stage, that we saw automation kind of start to shine there. And as we go into the growth stage, we're seeing that performance metrics really affect their experience. And are you saying, why do performance metrics affect their experience? Because it really depends on if those metrics that they're being considered against are relevant, fair, and transparent, right? And when they're not, when they're being measured against things that are not relevant, then their experience really wanes as a partner. And the example of that is the partners, not all partners resell. And we just saw in one of the pieces of data that most vendors compensate their partners from discount from list price, which is a resell motion, but
Right.
not all partners resell. So if you're looking to say, oh, our top partners are those that are generating the most revenue or reselling the most, and there's partners that don't resell at all, they don't really think that that's fair because it's not relevant to their business model. So they never get to be a gold or platinum or titanium partner because those metrics that's yardstick isn't fair.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that. Sorry, I think
No,
it
good.
shows how important it is to really target and segment how you're managing your partners. You don't want to group them all together, right? There's different types, especially in this whole partner ecosystem approach. You have your influencers, the referrals, and they have their own value in the different motions that they do. So yeah, if you're just using a reseller metric to judge everybody, yeah, that's going to cause issues for sure.
So we asked the vendors what performance metrics they use. Resale revenue targets was number one, and influence revenue targets were number two. We took those, then we took those away. We said, okay, all right, forget revenue. And we removed those from the options. And we saw some interesting trends. Really, competency started to appear. Again, these are from the vendors, what the vendors think that the partners are measured on in their organizations. So technical services expertise really started to show up in terms of what the vendors then care about once we took revenue off the table.
Interesting. And I don't think we're covering it here, but what was the partner's perspective? What did they think made them valuable? Do you know that part of it?
Yes. So they really think that should be evaluated based on their own business models. And as you mentioned, the ecosystem is quite varied and unique. So they like to be measured more on kind of the business plan and their partnership plan. Like, did they take the training, do the marketing, drive the leads, or whatever they think their value is to the vendor. Maybe it's that customer success metrics. Maybe as a partner, their role in the customer lifecycle is deployment, usage, and training. And that's what they want to be measured on, not revenue, because they're a deployment partner, not a sales partner.
So having those targeted, personalized, shared KPIs is super important, it sounds like.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So next we have the expected growth rate, where we're showing both the partners and partners and the vendors. And interesting, they pretty much align.
They do, which is like the only piece of data out of this whole study, and the whole study is 4 reports long and too many pieces of data. This is the only piece of data that really aligned, so we wanted to share it. overall, the vendors were a little bit more optimistic, but generally they both agree that they're going to grow 11 to 20% with what they ever consider their top partners. So for the solution providers, they have their 3 to 10 top vendors, and for the vendors, they have their 10 to 20 top partners. And they both said, hey, with those guys, we're going to grow 11 to 20%. Now, there's some challenges to this. Certainly, we see our global economic uncertainty. Yay! Still, one of the things that were a concern for their growth. Surprisingly, peer competition is not a top concern for the solution providers' ability to grow at this rate. However, competition with their vendors, particularly around services, was. So we asked not only what their expected growth rate was, but what might risk that growth rate. And it was mostly around competition with their vendors. And we're not even really seeing that as much in the sales side as we used to see, because deal registration kind of addressed that. But we really are seeing it on the services side these days.
Interesting. All right. So I think we have 1 or 2 slides left here. So we talked a lot about, when we're growing and things are going well, but what about the flip side when things aren't going so hot?
Yeah. You would think that the number one regret vendors would have, the solution providers, because this is blue, solution provider answers, would have in engaging with their vendors would be that conflict. But and you'd be almost right. It's not their number one. It's number 3 on here. Too much conflict with the vendors' direct sales efforts. The number one reason, which is just a little embarrassing to us as an industry, is that the vendors fail to deliver on their promises. And really that's on us, or us as channel leaders, as partnership executives. The goal, the thing here is like, can we under promise and over deliver instead of over promising and under delivering? Because once partners are really setting up their businesses for 5 and 10 years out there with their understanding of your partner programs, of your engagement models, of your services capabilities. So if you're selling them the moon and you're not able to deliver on that moon, they've made investment decisions based upon your commitments to them.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense on the regret side. So, all right. Well, I think that is all that we were going to
It's our
cover.
sneak peek of data. There is a full report that you'll see shortly. There are 3 other reports that are already out there with the other stages of the journey. This is just a little sneak peek on the last 2 stages.
Very good. So, is there going to be a link in the chat, or how can they access that report?
So all 3 of the 4 reports are out, and we will add the link to the chat here shortly.
Okay.
Yes.
For the 4th. Yes.
For the 4th. Very
good. So let's see. So yeah, anybody that has any questions, please throw them in there. Let me see. We got one. We talked about vendor metrics being relevant and transparent. And so they ask, how can vendors ensure performance metrics used are relevant, transparent, and fair to maximize growth and a better partner experience?
Yes, and I think the biggest question there, the biggest thing that we can stress is transparency around, thanks, Amanda, around what you are measuring the partners on. So fair really has to align with their business models, right? If they're reselling, you can measure them on kind of growth of their reselling business. But if they're not reselling, that's where the fair needs to come in. And I think one of the things that we hear that from the solution providers that the vendors miss often is the transparency part. Like, what are you going to measure me on? How do I get to be one of your top 10 or top 20? And is that, and being able to share that either through quarterly business reviews, business planning, through dashboards on a PRM, for example, possibly, I don't know, maybe. But it's really that transparency thing that the partners feel that the vendors miss a lot.
Very good. Yes, there will be a recording. We'll put a link there on the chat, but it's all on the Impartner website. You can see this and all the other MasterClass recordings there. Okay, so Mary asks, Dan, well, I guess I can use the capabilities of the tool here. Did the partners comment on CX for the clients they brought to the vendors and the quality of that? We know the partner sourced or influence deals have better LTV, but what if the vendor's service is lacking?
Yeah, so we got a lot of comments and feedback from the partners on the kind of the customer success aspect. And that we shared a couple of pieces of data and why it's for the vendors so low, which is one of the pieces that we keep bringing to the forefront for vendors, is that to engage and enable and even expect your partners to help do that customer success, especially if they bring the deal, right? I mentioned that there's two aspects of this. One is who influences, who helps you, the customer, want to buy, and who helps that customer be successful. And really, we feel that the partner, you guys as vendors expect the partner to play on the front end. It's actually in one of the previous reports, it's the top 5 things you want partners to do are all early stage in the sales cycle. The awareness, the interest, the decision and the brand decision are all kind of things that when we ask the vendors what you want the partners to do, and very little on the back end, especially in terms of making that customer successful. So we're trying to help really focus those partners and the vendors on making sure that the customers are using it, because in the subscription model, if they're not using it, it's coming back to you. I don't care if they've bought it for 3 years, it's still coming back.
Yeah, definitely. I get that. All right. So let's see. One question I had, what's your methodology of collecting all this? You're obviously passionate about data, and how do you find the companies that you're surveying? Are you just looking for those that are in the channel, or what is that approach that you take to make sure your data is clean and great?
Yes, so we have, so the solution provider side, we have a bunch of friends of PartnerPath, as we call them, right? We work with, as we mentioned, lots of customers and clients, but we talk to over 200 solution providers every quarter, just through the nature of our consulting business. So we go back to these guys and when we're looking for data pieces. And then on the vendor side, we work with our clients as well to help us kind of collect the data, as well as our partners.
Very good. All right. It looks like we are up on our time. Diane, I appreciate it so much. Thank you for sharing just a piece of your brain of all the research you've done. So yeah, hopefully everybody can take advantage of all those reports, all 4 of them that you've put out there, and up-level your knowledge on everything that's out there.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Well, until next time, everybody, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.